pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Sean the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here I am with another Sunday night tag. Don't worry, this is not going to be a tipsy tag. I'm enjoying maybe my second glass of wine, but I think I can keep things under control. I was tagged by Lukash he's recently renamed his channel Totally Pretentious, but many of us old-timers, I'm not much of an old-timer, but his channel used to be called Lukashist Books. He tagged me a couple weeks ago. This is the 6 Degrees of Separation tag, originally created by Peter Likes Books. So first, 6 Degrees of Separation is, I'm actually not so sure how much of the concept predates the play which became the movie, but I'm familiar with the movie, but the concept is that every person on the planet is separated from every other person on the planet by a chain of only 6 people. So that you could connect yourself to, I could connect myself to the Queen of England, and in fact I can, it's true, maybe I'll make a video about that. I could connect myself to Barack Obama by a chain of 6 people. I love that movie. It's not, as a movie, it's perhaps got its flaws, but I don't care. It's my favorite movie of the whole world, and I know a lot of people who like or love that movie, but I'm the only person I know who cries every time I see that movie, so that is my all-time favorite movie. This tag is based on the same concept, that you could connect any 2 books through a chain of connection through only 6 books. So the point is to choose 2 books from your library, or choose 2 books, and then establish a chain of connection between them using only 5 books as a bridge, so that it would be 6 degrees, 7 books, 6 degrees of separation. So, as a challenge to myself, I chose 2 books from my library that couldn't have been more different, and I've limited myself to books that I have in my physical possession, so not ebooks, and that I've read. So, this is what I've come up with. As you will see, and you can look at how other people have done the tag, I'll put a link to Lucas's video and also Peter's original. You can use any criteria you want to connect them. I've done most of mine as a kind of a thematic resonance, but not always, so you'll see how it goes. So, the 2 books that I've chosen are Beijing Comrades by Bei Tong, which is a pen name, a gay novel from China which was published maybe 2 years ago, and Margaret I by Danielle Dutton, a British novel published about 2 years ago, which is a historical novel about the life of Margaret Cavendish, the Duchess of Devonshire. Have I got that right? I believe she was the Duchess of Devonshire, but she was certainly Margaret Cavendish. And this has the most gorgeous cover of any book in my library, I think. It's certainly in the top 2 or 3. Both of these I read and enjoyed a couple years ago, and they couldn't be more different. This is a raunchy, very sexually explicit novel about a highly dysfunctional relationship between 2 closeted gay men in China starting in the mid or early 1980s, mid-1980s, and continuing a little bit post Tiananmen Square massacre. I didn't learn very much about China or what it was like to be gay in China from this novel, and I didn't think the writing or the translation was all that great, but I thought this novel, more than almost any other gay novel that I've read, showed how beautiful a screwed up, sexually obsessed relationship could be, and I really enjoyed it in spite of the fact that there's a couple, half a chapter about the Tiananmen Square, but really you could have transposed this to America, Canada, Tokyo. It was just a highly charged sexual relationship where they loved each other but they couldn't be together, and I thought it was really, really well done. This one I really enjoyed too. As I sit with it, having read it a year and a half ago, I'm not sure I like it as much as I did when I put it down, but it was really good, and I'm curious to read more by Danielle Dutton. She hasn't written a whole lot more. I don't think she's written anything since. But this introduced me to a figure in British history that I didn't know anything about before. I know some booktubers, Jess of Garden Scriptorium, a few others, have been reading her fiction, but I don't want to read her fiction. I'm not really interested in fiction pre-19th century. I just can't. I studied it. It was interesting to study, but reading for pleasure, no thank you. But she was a fascinating person. She wrote science fiction, feminist plays, and scientific tracts, if I'm not mistaken. And this was in the 17th century with the support of her husband. She was a very controversial figure, so Go Margaret! Margaret the First. Fabulous title, fabulous cover. Really enjoyed the book. So I'm now going to connect these two books by 6 degrees of separation. Here I go. So starting with Beijing Comrades, the first degree of separation is with this Nigerian novel, Season of Crimson Blossoms by Abubakar Adam Ibrahim. This is also, I believe, a 2016 novel. I have talked about it before, once or twice on my channel, which, like Beijing Comrades, is a really highly sexualized story about really hot sex between two people that really have no business being together. A young 26-year-old, I believe he's a 26-year-old drug dealer in the northern part of Nigeria, the fundamentalist Muslim part of the country, breaks into this 55-year-old Nigerian widow's home to rob her, and instead they have really hot sex, and then they carry on a love affair throughout the novel that's a secret from all of her family and children, adult children and grandchildren and friends, and it's just fascinating. And also very much like Beijing Comrades, I didn't think the writing was all that good, but as I've said whenever I have talked about this book before, the prose was not so great, but he's a masterful novelist in the way that he plotted and created characters that jumped off the page. And it's one of the first times, and I guess this other one I would put in the category, but this one was even better at it, in creating a novel that was subpar prose-wise, that I actually really liked because of all the other things that were masterful about it. So those two fit together very well for 2 reasons. So the second degree of separation between the Nigerian novel, Season of Crimson Blossoms, is with The Lost Garden by Helen Humphreys. Helen Humphreys is a Canadian novelist, and she wrote this 15 or 16 years ago, and it's set during the Blitz, 1941, in London. So if you didn't know she was Canadian, you wouldn't think she was. And this is a gorgeous 182-page novel that was one of my top reads of last year. And the connection between these two is both are an exploration of sexual awakening in female characters that have tragic results. And this one, the writing is gorgeous. Gorgeous! I raved about it last fall, but if you're new to my channel, please check this book out. It's one of the best books I've read in the last few years. So I'm losing count of the degrees, but the next degree of separation between The Lost Garden and my next pick is The Paper House by Anna Spargo Ryan. She's an Australian writer, and this was her debut from, I believe, 2016. I read a lot in 2016. Yep. And these two both are about women who are suffering trauma, psychological trauma, who focus on gardening as a way of healing. The idea of gardening as a way of putting yourself back together is richly explored in both. I've never heard anybody talk about Anna Spargo Ryan on BookTube, and I really enjoyed. This was a 4-star read. Look at that cover, hey? This was a 4-star read for me, and I have her second novel. It's on my pile. Haven't got to it yet. Again, I've lost count, but the next degree of separation is between Anna Spargo Ryan's debut, The Paper House, and No Violet Bulawayo's debut, We Need New Names. This was from 2013, and this is probably my favorite novel from an African writer. I love this novel so much. And these two novels have, this one in a big way, this one in a lesser way, explore problematic pregnancies. Please try this book, and please, No Violet Bulawayo, write another book. It's been 5 years. Haven't heard much about what she's up to, but this was a gorgeous book. It is about a young woman in Zimbabwe who, because of all the various idiotic oppressions that the Mugabe government is perpetrating upon its own peoples, have been displaced from their home and have been cast into poverty, and the children wander around the streets and invade the rich people's homes to steal guavas off their trees in order to survive. And there is, like I say, a problematic pregnancy. I won't tell you, it would be a spoiler that just will rip your heart out, and this was just a gorgeous novel. I've been able to figure out the count again. This is the 5th degree of separation between No Violet Bulawayo's We Need New Names and my next book, which is This Should Be Written in the Present Tense by Helle Helle. Helle Helle is a Danish novelist, and this is maybe one of her only books that has been translated into English. Look at that cover. Isn't that gorgeous? This was a total cover buy. I bought this in Tokyo last year just because of the cover, and I love the title too. This Should Be Written in the Present Tense. So what is the connection between these two novels, you ask? We Need New Names, and This Should Be Written in the Present Tense. Both titles are grammatical sentences. This is a book that's not really about anything. If you like kind of slow-moving books where not much happens, it's about a 20-year-old young woman, Dorothy, who she's single and she's supposed to be studying at the university, but she rarely goes to class. She has transient relationships, random sexual experiences, and awkward attempts to write. Sounds like me in my 20s. And I thought the writing/translation was really good, and I was quite captivated by it. But not much happens, so it's not a plot-driven novel. So that is my 5th degree of separation. And so for the final 6th degree of separation between Halle Halle's This Should Be Written in the Present Tense and Margaret the First, both are about struggling writers. So that is my best effort for the 6 degrees of separation tag, and I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Lukash, for teasing me, tagging me. And I'm going to tag a bunch of people. I launched my own original tag a couple days ago and tagged half of BookTube, so I've chosen other people that I didn't tag there, so as not to overwhelm anybody. If this tag appeals to you, I tag the following people. Now, actually, the first person I've tagged on everything because he is a brand new booktuber and he needs tags galore. So, my first tag is Wilsonn Shugart. If you don't subscribe to his channel, you should. And then a bunch of other people. Read Remark, Lindsey's Book Life, Kendra Winchester, Valentina Garcia, Conrad of 7 Days at Sea, who everybody loves, and he went away before I came on the scene, and now he's back, and I didn't see what all the fuss is about. I don't know if Conrad does tags, but if he does, please try this. Diana in Color, Claire of Claire Reads Books, Oly Bliss, and ChrisVigilante. So that was fun. Thanks for watching.